Thinking about self-publishing and don't know where to start? Join the Spa Girls each week for 30 minutes of honest advice, tips and resources. I'm Trudy J and I'm here with Shar Barrett.
Hello.
Wendy Vella.
Hello.
And Cheryl Phipps.
Hi there.
Hello. And this week we are going to talk about one of the first decisions you have to make as a self-publishing author. And actually it's a decision that you have to kind of continue to make, I guess, which is, should you go wide to all the platforms or exclusive to Amazon?
Mm-hmm.
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun, dun.
Quite early on
Before-
that you need to make that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite early on that you need to make that choice.
Yeah. So let's talk at what we actually mean by that, just to get it clear with all the listeners. So Wendy, I know that you are have this on the tip of your tongue and that you are desperate to explain the differences.
No pressure, Wendy.
How
No
can I
pressure.
count the ways how much I hate you? Okay.
Feel the love in the room.
Feel the love.
In the room.
Basically, exclusive as ebooks sold only through Amazon and available on Kindle Unlimited. We probably get a little bit more into Kindle Unlimited, but this is just a brief sort of breakdown and why it is ebooks distributed and sold through a wide range of retailers. And we're talking Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, Google Play, and there are some other platforms as well. But basically, that's it in a nutshell. So you have to make that decision if you're going to go on all the platforms or you're just going to go on one, and that's Amazon. So that's what wide versus exclusive means. And we are talking only ebook, not print.
And Amazon's the only one that makes you go exclusive.
Yes.
They're lovely like that. But they do have this program called Kindle Unlimited, which is a very big bonus for being exclusive to them. So who wants to talk about Kindle Unlimited and what that means?
Well, I can explain about Kindle Unlimited if you like.
Okay, go on.
So it's a monthly subscription service for readers. It's $9.99 US dollars. It's in other countries, it's a different amount, but you can find that information on Amazon. So a reader is limited to 10 books at one time, so they can download 10 books at a time. If they read one and send it back, then they can bring another in, as long as you keep it to 10 within that month period. And your ebook is in Kindle Unlimited for a 3-month period. So when you start in there, you can go in and take the tick out, and after the end of the 3 months, it won't roll over to the next 3 month, or you can keep on going if you want to with that. The author is paid per page read, and that amount changes from month to month dependent on the Amazon Global Fund. And that Global Fund is basically all the books that are read within that period of that month. So then they work out from there what everyone's payment's going to be by their total number of pages read. So basically it ends up being half a penny, US penny per page read. There's also give or take. There's also monthly bonuses for highest page reads, and they call these guys, I forgot completely, superstars, all stars.
They are superstars.
They are superstars. So they can get those anywhere. They can UK, wherever there's a Kindle Unlimited, you can get an all-star bonus, and it can be for one book, it can be for all of your books within that month. There's quite a few different categories. And at the moment, Kindle Unlimited is currently in the US, UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, India, China, Japan, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, and Australia. So that's probably a brief overview on Kindle Unlimited for you all.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that delightful overview.
Okay, you know me. I'm all about the on-point stuff.
Good work, Wendy. So should we start with, where should we start? We'll do some pros and cons of being exclusive. Are we going to start there? Yeah. So if you decide that you want to go exclusively to Amazon, you're happy to tick the little tick when it comes up on your screen. What are the pros for doing that? Like, what are the benefits? So obviously pro number one would be going into Kindle Unlimited and getting those readers.
Your books are included in that as a matter of course. But you can still sell them too, of course. So you've got sort of two markets, I guess, would be a pro.
Yeah. And the KU readers are a particular type of reader. They're very voracious. They're often whale readers, those kind of people who think that $9.99 a month is cheap for how many books they buy, and they're going to, probably read way more than that. and they read certain genres. They don't read all genres. So if you're in one of the genres that are common, that's awesome for you. What other benefits are there?
I think when you're starting out, it's a really something that might appeal to those people that have decided they don't have a lot of time to learn out how to load to all the other platforms, which you will have to do, unless you go through somebody that we call an aggregator, which is someone like Drafter Digital, who will take care of loading them to all the other platforms. So you just load to them once. But if you don't want to learn that or learn the other platforms like Apple and Kobo and that, then you could just go to Amazon, try it out, and you're only learning it once. And also will give you some idea in the future, if you then decide to go wide, you'll have a better handle on how to do it. So yeah, I think it's a time thing.
And the promotional opportunities too.
Yes.
You know, yeah, there's some good promotional opportunities. Whether you've got your Kindle Countdown deals and your free books. And they're great if you're running a promotion anywhere. You can just go in and do your 5 days free, or you can do your Kindle Countdown deals with them. So that, that's, I reckon they're great. They're great options.
And I think the biggest thing is that Amazon is the behemoth of retailers. And so, I think depending on what survey you're looking at, it's sort of 80% plus of ebook sales are through Amazon. So it is the big boy in the pond, as it were. And for a lot of authors that are Amazon exclusive, the proportion of their monthly pay is often 50% or more is made up of KU reads or Kindle Unlimited page reads. So that's a lot of income coming in.
Good for discoverability too.
Yeah. So if you're
really
good,
yeah,
that's the kind of place where you get some
readers. So can you explain that though? How is it good for discoverability for people? If somebody's listening to this, then why is it good for discoverability in KU?
So someone who is in KU and are paying $9.90 a month, essentially they can download whatever they like, and it's not a big deal. So they might download a book and they might get halfway through and go, well, this is the worst book I've ever read, and then they just give it back. And it's no skin off their nose. Whereas if you buy it, like, you have to pay, I mean, it's only $2.99, $3.99, whatever, but it still feels like you're paying for something and you can't give it back if you don't like it. Although you
can kind of just keep trying and just, it's kind of like a buffet, isn't it? It's kind of like an eat all you want.
And then if they like your book, wow, and you've got 7 books in that series, well, they're going to go on and read those 7 books. And that's a win.
And that's what they want, right? So KU readers love the series. They want, and as a reader, you think about it. I know for myself, if I find an author that I think is awesome and I love all their books, I'm going to read their books. Oh my God. And I'm going to be so happy as I'm doing it, because I'm reading from an author that I love. So if you can find those readers who love your books.
Yeah, absolutely.
In KU, awesome. You're going to get the page reads. Yeah.
And I don't think there's a lot to be said for being a newbie, like Cher said, though, and having to learn so much, like just loading. Chances are you're not going to hit the markets and be a superstar straight off anyway. So just having to hit one market is so much easier,
Yeah, that's true. Can you hear my silly dog barking?
Yes, we can, actually.
Don't know what he's barking at, but there's someone looking at him aggressively. It might be a paper bag. So what about the cons of staying with Amazon? Let's talk a bit about that. Like going exclusively to Amazon.
Exclusive. Yeah, there are. You go, Cher.
Well, I think we say it. Everybody says it, actually, having all your eggs in one basket. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's actually true, because if Amazon suddenly had a hissy fit, which occasionally they do, you could lose a lot of income, if not all of it. They could suspend your account or something like that, which the other platforms don't tend to do. And besides which, if it did happen on one of the other platforms, you've still got all the others, including Amazon, to go back to. So I think that's quite a huge plus for people that are going wide. They have that, I don't know, I guess it's a security thing. So I totally understand that.
And that's actually the biggest reason people have for going wide, isn't it? Usually, like that kind of feeling that they don't want to be reliant solely on Amazon, who aren't known for thinking of authors when they make new decisions on their platform.
And it's really hard to get consistency of income too with the global fund. I think, you're not sure what it's going to be every month. You haven't got a set figure. You know that if you're selling your book and it's the X amount of dollars for 70%, what you're going to get for it. But with the reading, it's different again. Plus, if a person reads your book over a 6-month period, you get paid as they read that book, So it's all, it's dependent. So you can't
up in the air.
Yeah, very,
Those that I've spoken to that they've found that kind of inability to plan, if you like, that's a big part of why they've chosen to go wide, just because then there's more of a surety. And they kind of felt, it was kind of psychologically, I don't want to say damaging, but it was a real downer, if you like, feeling that you weren't in control and you didn't actually know. So you're paying for advertisements that month. For example, say in the month of March, you paid for X number of ads for that book and it's got so many page reads, but you don't actually know how much those reads are going to be paid out as, and it's that kind of thing that makes it quite hard to plan. And I think, as you've said, it's the principle as well for a lot of people that they prefer to spread their risk. It's
And I like the idea. And I like the idea of going to the different platforms as well. Like not even like the philosophical angle of spreading risk, but just there's different readers on Kobo. There's different readers on Apple. They're different people looking for different things, and maybe like you just don't know. And I just
there's a perception, I think, that you pay more on other platforms sometimes too, and you get better quality. And I don't know why that is, but I do believe people on other platforms will pay more for their books than they will on Amazon.
And we should talk a little bit about that. I'd be interested to know what your perceptions are about the different platforms, because they are different. And so for Amazon, my perception is that they're way more price sensitive, that you can't really put versus $2.99 versus $6.99 on Amazon, it's a bigger difference for people, and you get different readers.
Is it also on Amazon's totally different insofar as your ranking as an author is very different as it would be on another platform? So if you sell 500,000 books on Amazon, you're going to hit the top, whereas in the other platforms, not necessarily. I think it works slightly different.
Well, they're curated. Amazon is purely on sales, their rankings, whereas the other retailers actually have people that care about selling books. And they we can talk about promotion opportunities later, but that's another big part of it too, it's easier to make a splash in a smaller pond into different fish. Man, we're really getting the analogies.
It's all going.
But I think actually that's always what people say about Amazon, is that why they won the battle, if you will, was because they did it purely by the algorithms and what people wanted. Whereas I'm kind of a little bit like, I don't actually like the idea of the curation, because that's like people telling me what I should read rather than it being an instrument of what I have shown them that I like, like it's I don't know.
But on the other hand, it's also a chance if you've got a new release, or they can do country specific promotions. So if you've got something, for example, that's say a New Zealand set romance, often they'll do a promo on the Apple Books, for example, Australasian site, and so it's a way of being featured. You would never get that on Amazon.
I'm not. So, there's so there are people there who are willing to do the promotions and the activities and things like that with you that are and definitely found that with, like, for example, Kobo. We've talked with the people from Kobo, and they are interested in getting out there and talking to people and being part of the community, and you definitely don't get that with the Amazon people.
But also if you're going wide, there's the pros would be being able to have a free book. You can have the first in series free. So
whenever you want,
and then you can actually ask Amazon to price match. So then that's a great sell for your first book. If you've got 2 or 3 to follow, that is something Amazon can't offer you.
Except for the 5 free days.
Except for the 5 free days.
Which means you have to make sure that you get that organised well in advance.
Yeah.
Because you have to wait 90 days. It has to roll over. So you can't just say, well, I'm going to put this book free here. this week, and then I might do it again next week. Somewhere you can't do that because
No.
your 5 free days have gone, or you
Mm.
could use 2 days here and 3 days there. But I personally don't really subscribe to that. Whereas wide, you can have a free book whenever you like.
I think there is a subscription service with Kobo as well. Am I right? Is it Kobo? I think they've got a reader subscription service as well. I think one of them has, if I remember rightly.
And
That
I think it's
when
a
I was
way
with
of-
Kobo, yeah, it is
Yeah.
Kobo, I think.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure it is. We often here in little old New Zealand don't get access to some of these different things until they've well bedded in. But I think it's probably the way of the future as well. You know, it's kind of the Netflix of book reading, you know, for subscriptions. And I mean, it used to be on, was it Scribd or Scribed, whoever, you know,
yeah.
that was another, you know, it's not a new thing. I don't think it's going away anywhere. And a
No.
lot of authors really don't like it because it kind of, but it is what it is. And you just work with it, really.
Yeah, you do your homework, I think, and you look at how your genres are selling, where they sell the most.
Yeah.
And I think that.
And I think it's genre specific, right, Cher? You know, we talked about this the other week, and I think that, like, for me, historical definitely does better in Amazon and contemporary wide. But that's just my view on it.
Yeah, I think often it's author specific too. I would say too, when you're doing your research, just note that a lot of actual traditional publishers are able to access books to put their books in Kindle Unlimited as well as wide. So don't just assume. Unfortunately, indies have different rules to their agreements with traditional publishers. So that can be a little frustrating. But again, you just kind of got to roll with it. Just how it is. How it is.
So can we, sorry, we're going to say something more? I was just going to say, let's talk about the different platforms that if you do go wide. So Kobo is the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Anagram of book, in case anyone wanted to know that. Anagram's the right word, right? Yes.
Yeah, it took us a while. I didn't know that until years. I didn't figure that one out.
I didn't either. Until we spoke to Tara.
From Kobo.
So they're awesome, and they do, like you say, like excuse me, like the promotions. They work in with authors. They have a on the Writer's Life platform. They have blog, and they talk to people, and they're really engaged in the promotions. You can do massive box sets on there, and being on Kobo means that you're on platforms around the world. And what kind of readers are there? Are they different to Amazon? Would you say?
Kobo readers?
Yeah.
I think they are. I think that, like I said, I really believe they're willing to pay more money for the books. I noticed when I was wide, the stuff that was selling on Amazon was different from what was selling on Kobo. So it's definitely a different type of reader.
They definitely, because they don't have that same thing where Amazon wants you to have a book between $2.99 and $9.99, do they? Like Amazon limits it and says between those price ranges is the only place where you can get 70%. And if you choose to have something that costs more than that or less than that, you only get 30% of the royalties. So Kobo doesn't have that. So you can have massive box sets worth $25 and still get your proper or a decent chunk of that money from them. So
for a lot of countries, Kobo is kind of the bookseller as opposed to Amazon. Like for New Zealand, Kobo was here first with Kobo readers and through our national book-selling chain, our biggest one. And, you know, I think it's pretty big in the Canada, the UK as well, wasn't it? It's sort of that.
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
So it's different readers on different platforms that may be getting
I think
access
so.
to people.
Yeah, Apple is the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apple.
And I remember, Wendy, you did a Kobo promotion, didn't you, with a whole lot of other authors? As those sort of big BOGO, was it buy one get one?
Yeah, BOGO.
Yeah,
it was buy one get one free.
That you could do, and it was done through through Kobo. That kind
but
of
set
thing.
up by someone else, and they were quite happy to come on board, and then they took it and ran with it and did it, you know, that way.
So
and also
kind of hands-on help, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah, and
So
Apple are willing to help too. Sorry, Treadles, and that like I got in touch with a rep there, and she was willing to give me and you know some promotion there.
Real live person.
A real live person.
And that's
Who'd
what I
have
was going to
thought?
say. I was just going to talk about Apple, because Apple is another platform again, because they have readers who are really prepared to pay more money, like almost to the point where they won't buy it if it's too little.
Yeah.
Like they have a really, like there's a
They're used to
perception of
paying over the
quality.
top for Apple products. Let's
Yeah, well,
face
there's a
it.
perception of quality, so they
Yeah.
think that you pay more because it's supposedly better.
It's kind
Yeah.
of a
And
snobbishness, really.
Pardon?
Yeah.
It's kind of a snobbishness, really.
Well, it used to be. I used to think seriously that Apple products were better, but these days I am not so convinced. Now that Steve Jobs is gone, he is missed, I believe, but that's a whole nother topic. But Apple
For another day, clearly.
for another day. I'm not
Get
going
off
to
your
mention
Apple
any
box.
more. I'm going to get off my Apple box. But they definitely pay more, right? Like, and they think that it's better if they pay more because they're getting a better product. So that's a whole nother different type of reader again, that to the really price conscious Amazon readers who are looking for the $2.99 deals.
And I'd also like to point out that your iPhone comes preloaded with the Apple Box like reader on it, so it's kind of it's inbuilt there. So that's a big
Do you
deal as
think
well.
it's a younger audience?
I don't know.
I think it can be. I think it perhaps it was, and like really, and now it's probably, there's people like our age that
50-50.
have.
Well, we're young. What's your gig? I mean, we're still young.
Yeah, young people like you two, then yes.
I think the key is for these other platforms, particularly Apple, is that your books have to look like trad books, and so it's that expectation of
quality.
of super quality cover, that kind of thing. It needs to fit on that shelf, and it is a I don't want to say high end, but that really, like, there should be no delineation between a self-published book and a traditionally published book in terms of the care over the cover and that kind of thing. So, and editing, they should look the same.
Yep.
I mean, you should be trying to do that on Amazon anyway, to be fair.
Well, you should be.
Days,
I think it's getting better, to be honest. I really do.
Think, I think there's particularly with, anyway,
that's a whole nother topic, right?
That is a whole nother topic.
And the other big advantage of Wide is there's a whole lot of what we call, they're not little, but they're little to us in terms of we don't have access to the stores, but international retailers as well, in the various European countries and that kind of thing, and so, you might not make a huge amount, but all these little bits all add up together, all these different income streams add up together as well. So
you can get access to those ones, for example, through Draft Digital.
Yes.
The biggest one that always comes to mind is Tolino, and I don't know why I have that one in my head. I think it's a Spanish one, and I know there's another big German one. And Germany's a big market, and
huge market.
So, and they do, romance. And a lot of them do read in English because they are very, like, they learn English from age 5 in Europe. Like, they all speak and are awesome at English as well. So it's not to say that you won't sell books just because it's a German platform. So, okay, so what are the cons to going wide?
Wow.
Learning all the things. And spreading yourself quite thin because you're having to do something several times. Because
time consuming.
Yeah, you're not just tweaking a book on Amazon. You're not just tweaking a book on Kobo or Apple. You're having to do each one. And unless, as I said, you have an aggregator, but even then it's still double the work, if you see what I mean.
And you're promoting on each different platform.
And it's different promotions, like different things work for a wide book that versus one that's a KU. It's a very different promotion.
Different readers that you're reaching. Really it's a whole set of new guidelines of promotion, uploading, all of that sort of stuff. It's a whole
thing.
I think
how the cover looks.
Exactly, and pricing even, that's different, isn't it? And because like each platform probably has a different type of reader, and the thing is, you're not guaranteed that your book might do well on Kobo and then it might not do well on Apple because different readers. This is what I'm trying to say there,
And there's Nook as well. That's probably so the big
Nook,
ones. There's Amazon, Kobo, Apple Books, and Barnes and Noble's Nook, which in theory has been circling
they
the drain.
still-
for the
yeah, I
last
was
few
gonna
years,
say,
but
are
they're
they
hanging
still-
in there?
Yeah.
Google Play's another one,
And
isn't
Oh
it?
yeah,
Google
Google
Play.
Play. Yeah.
And that's always been a bit tricky.
Mm.
They closed it out to new accounts for people wanting to publish direct. I mean, we're talking about aggregators, but I think if you can, particularly if you're in the US, it's always good to go direct, which means that you upload, and because it just saves you the percentage that you would be otherwise forfeiting to the aggregator.
Plus, you
But-
can't use the advertising promotions if you don't go
Yeah.
exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I kind
Oh.
of think of it as all these different levers that you'd have to be working, and
I mean,
if you-
not exclusive. I mean, if you don't load to that platform.
yeah.
I
Draft
don't
to
know,
Digital.
Draft Digital does stuff. I'm
They
sure.
do, but it's nothing like
But
what Kobo
Kobo,
does.
if you go straight
Kobo's-
to Kobo,
Yeah,
you can get so much more.
Okay.
absolutely. Draft to Digital definitely do stuff, but it's
Mm.
not the same.
Yeah. And this is only ebooks we're talking about as
Yes.
one other
Yeah.
point. So you could go exclusive to Amazon with your ebooks, and you could put print books wide.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I've never really heard of someone doing that and saying how amazing it was, but I always thought, well, it's an option, right? Like,
And
someone could
audio too
try.
audio's wide, right?
And you can go wide with audio.
yeah.
So,
Mm.
yeah. So it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just one type of file.
Yeah.
So is that?
And there's the option to go wide with one book, the first in the series, and stay. You can do both, right?
Yeah.
And the
You
other
know?
one that you see people doing is going wide for, say, 2 weeks and then bringing it exclusive into KU, which to my mind seems an awful lot of work,
Yes.
but that's definitely something that I have seen authors do, and they do with regularity. And so I assume that they must see that there's a benefit to it.
There is a marketing ploy there. I don't understand it myself, but I guess you're getting more eyes on it. But then if readers come across it and then they can't purchase it, then
Particularly if they're going for a list, you have to be published wide in order to get on the New York Times or the USA Today. And so to sell, to be across different platforms, it's probably what they're aiming to do is pre-order it, sell a ton.
I think
but you're right.
Not
it does
New
seem
York
like a lot of
Times.
work.
Not New York Times anymore. That's only trade.
But the because the one thing, I'm thinking of a particular author who does it, and she just does it because I think she used to be wide and has all these wide customers and feels bad about excluding them. So it's not even for a list.
Just like, that's a great idea. Yeah.
She's just allowing her readers that she knows and has on her list or whatever to buy it, and then she goes into KU where she makes some of her money. So, and then you hear about other authors, like I think Janie Crouch might have mentioned this to us, and she talks about going wide for a certain period, and then when sales started to kind of wane, then she went into KU to kind of get a new audience and boost the sales again. So it can be a strategy to kind of boost sales, or a waning series in one platform might gather new readers in another. So that's definitely something to think about as well. So so what is interesting, so if we're talking about you're an author with a few books up and you're in KU and you decide to go wide, so
by KU we're saying exclusive, so
exclusive.
you're selling and in Kindle Unlimited as well as selling exclusively on Amazon, just to clarify that.
Thank you.
Newbies.
So what are some of the reasons, or what do you do if you want to go wide? So you just have to untick the little tick in the section on the Amazon
Kindle Unlimited.
That says I'm going to go exclusive. So you get the 3-month period, and the tick automatically gets put on there, and you
it
need
stays
to
on there until you take it off.
Until you take it off, and so you might want to take it off immediately and only be there for 3 months, but you're in there for 3 months. There's no getting out. And what else do you need to do? So you
have to wait till the end of that period, and you have to make sure that it's definitely not exclusive before you load it on wide, because that's how you get into trouble. And
then you
trouble with Amazon.
And then you need to go into that document and take out everything that says Amazon in it.
Add all the links at the back,
all the links to the other book to wide.
And
same with Amazon, you can't link anything in there that's to go. And a lot of people, if you're not going direct, if you're just going through an aggregator, you've really just got to link to your website, because you can't link to Kobo if you're if you can't link to Amazon, then you just have to link to your website.
Yes. So by that we're saying that the other retailers don't want, understandably, your book taking to other,
Other
clicking on links and
platforms.
going to other platforms.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you've kind of got
And I
much
think
so.
that's tough because I think on Amazon, that one of the biggest ways to get sell through to read to the next book is that link, that last link at the
To the
end.
next book, yeah.
It says, have you read book 2 in this series? Here's the link. Bang, they go straight there. Whereas the generation that we are, we don't like to double click. So if we've got to go to a website and then we've got to go through and find that book and blah, 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 we're lazy and that can
Well,
put people off.
But it's not tough in that you can do it. Like you just go direct
No,
to Amazon
of
and
course
you
you can
put the
do
link in
it,
there,
yeah.
and it just means you're gonna have to go direct to Kobo and do Kobo's one, and direct to Amazon and
just means
to
a little bit
Apple.
more formatting.
Yeah, it's just formatting involved, and that's another point actually we didn't talk about with cons for going wide, is that every time you need to add a new link, like say the link for the next book in the series that's just come up, you have to go back into every single file and re-upload all of those files. And if you're on multiple platforms, that becomes something a lot harder as well. So you can kind of see that wide is beneficial, but can be more complicated and add work to what you're doing.
Definitely more work.
Yeah,
Definitely
But
more
you
work.
know, if that's where your books sell,
yeah,
You gotta do it.
it'll be
Yeah.
worth it.
exactly. So let's talk about if you're wide and you wanted to go back into KU, what do you do? What's the first thing?
And you unpublish
Mm-hmm.
all your books, and when they are unpublished and not before, because if Amazon find your books on other platforms, they will be very displeased and stop selling your
And
book.
seriously, it can take weeks, especially with
Yeah.
the smaller platforms. It can take a very long time for it to be
Yeah.
unpublished. The only way you know that is to keep going and clicking back in.
And quite often you have to actually approach them and go, excuse
Hey.
me, hello, could you please remove this book?
Anybody
And,
there?
and I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
And that's
You know?
especially if you're going through Draft Digital and they're putting it out onto smaller sites. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. They might have to
Yeah.
chase them for you.
Yeah.
And they do. Draft Digital are fantastic.
They
They've
are.
got a great customer service.
Okay, that's awesome. So what else can we talk about with regards to wide versus exclusive? What else do people need to know?
I think it's been true for pretty much as long as we've been in the self-publishing world for the last 10 or so years-ish, that it can take longer to build an audience if you're publishing wide than it can if you're building an audience on Amazon exclusive, just because, your eggs are spread out in many baskets, and it can take a little bit longer to build up your income. I mean, it's impossible to give percentages because it depends on the author. But I mean, in an ideal world, you'd want 50% maybe income from Amazon or less, and then the rest of that, your income from other retailers. But it can take quite a long time for the income on those other retailers to build, just because purely percentage-wise, there's less people on there. I mean, there's still plenty of people to make a living from, but you have to actively find them, and often it will involve advertising to Kobo readers only. For example, on Facebook ads, you target Kobo readers, you do ads to Apple readers. It's that kind of thing you have to work a little bit harder for, and it can take a little bit longer. So I think that's just part and parcel of it. You're a farmer and you've got lots of different paddocks that you're growing, fields that you're growing crops in, and that's just
Takes time.
And that's what they want. We want to like one of the basic tenets of business, is it not, to have lots of sources of income, right? Like it helps to have wider distribution or wider.
It absolutely de-risks it, and it can also make your advertising. It can also, for example, if you want to run a BookBub, if you want to get a feature deal in BookBub, often they prefer books that are published wide across all the different retailers. Not always. It's not true.
I think mostly.
But it helps.
Yeah, it sure does help.
It helps. And so therefore the money that you're spending on the ad, you've got the chance to gain a whole lot of readers, so across a whole lot of different platforms than you have on just the one. And same for different types of like other advertising list promotions as well that you're doing as well. It just kind of spreads out the chances of making the advertising money back.
Yeah. So it's a really good point there, actually. the other thing I wanted to mention quickly was own your own website. Like if you're wide, you can be selling your own books from your own website. Now, I don't know, there's lots of people talk about that, and they do definitely do well with that kind of thing, like doing specialized, like maybe signed hardbacks or hardcovers or special editions. That kind of thing can do really well, or although paperbacks are not included, so you'd be fine doing that anyway. But like even if you wanted to do special ebook versions of it or something, of your books or something like that,
Those giant box sets and that kind of thing, if you wanted to, through your own website.
so you can do that kind of thing if you're wide rather than being exclusive to Amazon, which is, you know, if you've got a really strong audience of people and they are keen on your website and they go to your website, that's definitely a bonus there. And you don't have to share the money with anyone.
Exactly. That's a big deal.
You get 100% of that income. So
yeah, absolutely.
except what you pay in tax, I suppose. But anyway, it's another story as well.
We won't go down that tax
No,
road, Turtles.
No,
We'll leave that tax road for
I'll
another
leave it
day.
alone. I'll leave it alone.
Don't touch. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just trying to think what other things do we want to mention here?
I think we've pretty much covered off the pros and cons. You know, I really do. I think we've gone pretty much through it. But I think I would seriously, if you are making this decision, I would seriously get on there and do your homework and do some research as to where your audience is. Where are the big hitters in your genre published? Are they wide? Are they exclusive? Get in there and do some research and see. And then I think that will give you sort of an idea. Don't just get into it, oh, I've decided to go wide because I don't like Amazon. All right. You know, you've got to really do your homework on this for pricing if you're going to go wide, and find your audience if you're going to go wide and stuff like that. So get in there, do some homework and check out where the people in your genre are and doing well.
And that's actually a point I was going to make. Don't make these kinds of decisions because off the cuff, like Amazon will make a change and then suddenly everyone in all the forums is getting hysterical and talking about this is it, this is the last straw, I'm going to go wide or whatever. I think that's quite an emotional response to something that Amazon has done, and I think you want to make these kind of decisions a little bit more, I don't know, logically, and just kind of know what you're going to do, and don't just make a spur of the moment freak out decision, because it is a big decision and it's a big change to go from one to the other. I would also
go to those other platforms and just have a little look around at them and see the loading processes and check out their rules and terms and stuff like that. So check all of that sort of side of things out too, and just understand the work you're going to have to do, because they probably will have videos on how to do things and help areas, but just to show you what the work entailed is, you know.
And don't that though, you can learn it. It is
we learned it. Gosh, hello.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Other thing I was going to mention is there's no right and wrong with this.
No,
it's not better to be wide. It's not better to be exclusive or worse either way. It's just a personal decision about what works best for you in your career, and don't let anyone tell you that you have to go wide or you have to go exclusive, because there's literally, we've been around, we've heard all the arguments, we've heard all the people talking about it, and there is no definite conclusion, even in terms of who's making the most money. Like I'm pretty sure the written word media report said that there was no conclusive kind of who was making more money other way or whatever. I mean, I kind of imagine that maybe people in KU might be doing better because but maybe that's just
we don't know.
I can't say.
And we've tried everything, all of it, you know, we've done it all.
We've done it all for you.
We've been in and out. We've been in and out, you know. We've taken all the risks and all the hits on your behalf, and we can't tell you either way because we've done both, and I didn't have a problem with either. It was just more work, you know. But I'm just doing what's right for me, just as the others are.
And the thing is, you've got to do what's best for you, and you'll have your own reasons, and you'll hear people on both sides, if you like, of the coin arguing fiercely that their way is the right way, but it's got to be down to you and what you're comfortable with. And if you start off in Kindle Unlimited, exclusive to Amazon, for example, then there's, you're not selling your soul to the devil for, well, you are, but only for 90 days. And then you can,
Did you just call Amazon?
I'm telling you, they're watching you. The zone's watching you, mate. You're a dead man.
There is if you're looking at going wide, there is a very good Facebook group that we'll put in the show notes. It's called Wide for the Win, and there's a book along the same title, with the same title, I'm pretty sure, by Mark Leslie fave. I'm not sure if that's how you quite. Sorry, I apologise for the absolute terrible pronunciation of that name there. But there's definitely a lot of authors that are doing well wide that are really keen to help you out. So that the help's there both ways. So
Do your homework.
and your peeps.
Yeah, it's awesome.
End of story. Do your homework.
Yeah, listen to Wendy. She's bossy and knows what she's talking about.
You know me, mate. All over the bossiness.
Awesome. So I think that might be us on the topic of wide versus exclusive. So where can we be found?
Well, we
wants
can
to
be
tell
found
us?
wide at spargirlspodcast.com.
Very good.
Awesome. And also the YouTube channel has been going gangbusters, I hear.
We have been going gangbusters, and we just appreciate every subscription, and we also appreciate any reviews. And talking of going wide, if you've got an Apple podcast app, we would love it if you could pop a review on there for us.
Yeah, that'd be
really
nice.
helps us getting discovered. I mean, on any podcast app would be great, but particularly Apple, we're lacking a little bit on there, so that would be great.
Those Apple people, you just can't trust them, quite frankly.
No.
They're just troublemakers.
Rotten to the core. Get it?
Rotten.
Yeah,
Oh, the apple was rotten. Oh my god.
Man,
Oh,
that's
stop it with
brilliant.
the puns.
pipped me with that one, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Peeling away
and-
those layers.
Yeah, we should just peel off now.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, we're leaving. I'm leaving all of you now.
Okay, bye.
So, bye.
Well,
Thanks for
bye.
listening. Bye.
Bye.